Here we go, this is the moment that I've been waiting years for. This is my Ford S-Max, and yes, I am a car cleaner, but no, I've been way too busy for the past couple of years. So I thought I'd give myself a few days off to give the 7-seater car an extreme makeover. So I want to give you a bit of a backstory behind this car. It's f***ed. The boot looks like Chewbacca's been living in the cage, and this one Pringle has been squatting here since 2017. But I know I had one heck of a job to do. Can I pull it off? Let's find out. This car normally spends its life at home, but I didn't want to clean it there because I have way too many distractions. And I can't go 2 minutes without the kids screaming or the cat being a bellend, and there's not a great deal of space. So thankfully my mate at Fratelli Cars let me use his garage for a few days. So at least I could have a bit of peace and quiet. Bit of 2-pack in the background. Drop that on my fecking foot, that hurts so bad. Mr. Organised today. I've got gloves just for this occasion. I've got all sorts of stuff in here. I've actually been quite good with my spending. Got loads of new cloths as well. And if you're wondering what these wires are, it basically stops all these drawers flying out when you go around a bend a little bit too quick. Mind you, you can't go quick in this van, it's pretty hopeless, but it's a good thing to have actually, and these make great washing lines. Everyone keeps asking me if I nicked those green shopping baskets from Asda, and I didn't, I got them from Homebase, when they went bankrupt of course. Right, so I've come up with an idea. We've got a massive plan of action for this car. Because it is so bad, I'm going to do about 90% of the inside first. So we're going to get rid of all the pet hairs, all the sand is going to be removed as well, and then we're going to give it a deep clean, and then at the very end we're going to finish off that last 10% because there's no point in washing the car and then doing all the inside and blowing out all the sand everywhere. It's just going to stick to the bodywork and it's going to look a right mess if I'm honest, and because we've got direct sunlight today, it's going to be causing even more problems. The first thing on the to-do list, apart from hanging my head in shame, was getting the car empty and removing the dog cage, which had a distinctive smell to it. Oh, it stinks, this does. It stinks of dog piss. By the time I finished moaning about the dog air freshener, it was already 10 o'clock, so I needed to get a wriggle on, and there was no excuses, no way out. I had to face the facts. I needed to do some work. And the first job on the list was to start off by shifting some of that dog hair, which wasn't fun, but my insanely quick turbo hands soon made mincemeat of that. Plus I did have a little help from my pet hair block, and I'll put links to everything that I've used on this car in the description below. But back to the job at hand, and because I hadn't cleaned this car for many years, I totally forgot about all the secret compartments. It was like opening Pandora's box, if the box was full of crap. Not only that, I forgot to bring anything for lunch, so I had to find the healthiest alternative, and as luck had it, I found something special. There's like my favourite sweets there. I'm really gutted because that was like a intact chewy bar, and I was trying to get it out, and unfortunately I can't have it now. After missing out on my lunch, I wasn't happy, and you could tell just by looking at my face. But nevertheless, I had to keep going, and up next for the back of the car was the shampooing stage. The cleaner I'm using in the Karcher Puzzi is Yum Interior because I needed something to tackle that horrendous smell. Because last week when I was driving home, I was stuck behind a couple of stoners in a Ford Fiesta, and that smell went straight through the fans. On the plus side, it was the most chilled traffic jam I've ever been in. The seats came up pretty well with the extractor alone, so at this point I didn't need to use the drill brush, but I did bring it out for the backs of the seats and some of the plastics. That is like disgusting, and I tell you what, hang on. These seats still smell like Bob Marley's kitchen. The one thing most detailers never tell you is the lack of products that you need to tackle a car like this. People's first impressions are always going to be something along the lines of, oh dear, that's a mess, I'm going to need to go out and buy a million different products. And to be honest, there's only a few chemicals that you really need to get this car looking at its best, plus a couple of little tricks. After the door front plastics were done, I jumped onto the snot-infested steering wheel and I gave it a squirt with my interior cleaner and agitated it with my soft brushes, followed by a wipe with a microfiber cloth. And it's amazing how nice the steering wheel feels after a good clean, and when you think of all the germs on it, it's something you really need to do on a more regular basis. So I know you see me use a steam cleaner now and then, and to be honest, I hardly use one these days, but I will say this, when it comes to blasting out things like the seat runners or the cup holders, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing all those bits of muck blast away. And at this point I was determined to make this look good, so I even steam cleaned the seat belts, and I also had time to chuck in some slow-mos for special effects. This is one of those days when you know things haven't gone to plan, when you're still on the inside and the sun's going down behind you. What a day. I feel like there's so much more to give though. You just don't get enough daylight hours in February. Man. This car looks nice. Well, it doesn't, but it does on the inside. It's a real looker. Like me, when I'm not in my car cleaning gear. Day 2 started off with me spraying some pre-wash on the engine bay, and no, I'm not going crazy here, I'm just spraying it off and everything's covered on this car, so no panic about anything not working. And once I was happy, I jumped onto the wheels, and this time round I'm using Turtle Wax Rapid Decon Wheel Cleaner, which I got sent to test out. That is not that bad actually. That's cleaning it up a treat. And do you know what, this reminds me actually of Yum wheels, because it has the same sort of formula. It's a bit of a wheel cleaner and a fallout remover, and the way it foams up when you start agitating it with a brush is gorgeous. This is the most overlooked part of any clean, I think. Most people, when they clean their cars at the weekend, they're just like, oh screw it, we're just going to do the wheels, and nobody does the tyres. They just think a jet wash will get it clean, but it won't. After giving you that useful bit of information, I gave the wheels and tyres another blast off, and then I was ready to get cracking on the door shuts. And this time round I'm using Infinity Wax Citrus Pre-Wash, and I've been using this for a while now, and I can honestly say it's been one of my favourite pre-washes that I've tested so far this year. The door shuts were a doddle, and you could tell it was my car because I literally gave 0 Fs towards it, and I wasn't exactly bothered about getting it wet either because I had my new car dryer. And that's how a professional does it, apparently. And I'm spraying all the essential areas first before using my mighty layer of Yum foam. And I want to talk about my foam cannon here because it's definitely not the cheapest one around, but it is the best. This one gives you sensational quality foam, which is consistent, it's not too thick, and it performs better than all the other cannons that I've owned and tested. And you can easily get 2 to 3 cars from this cannon. So it does a better job of preserving the snow foam, therefore saving you more money long term. And I know how much it offends detailers when they don't snow foam from bottom up, so I thought I'd share some more daring manoeuvres. Comment below. After allowing the snow foam to sit on the car for a few minutes, I could get rinsing, and there's something I want to show you here because most people probably think I just have one camera, but I do in fact have 2 on the go at the same time, and this one's on a gimbal, so you can see here, filming and cleaning the car is not an easy task. Would help if you're recording, Dave, you muppet. Try again. As you can see here, the weather is unforgiving as usual, so washing the car in the direct sunlight, no matter what time of the year, can be tricky. So to chuck in another element of faffing with 2 cameras, you can see why it took me so long to film this clean. And the thing with washing your car in the direct sunlight is you've got to be quick, and look, you can get around the whole car with a good shampoo without it streaking, but it's just not an easy task. The sunlight was showing no mercy, and once I'd taken care of all the big bits, I then got out my Valet Pro brush for the grills and the badges before giving it one more final rinse. Come on, Dave, you can do this. After that inspirational pep talk, I had to come up with some more excuses. That wind is picking up now. There's stuff blowing everywhere. It does make it quite difficult though, because you've got all this dust in the air. With that wind showing no surrender, I opted for the car dryer, which was a great alternative for the grills and fiddly areas. And last week I bought out a mega video on the cheapest car dryer on Amazon, so do go check it out after this video, but stick around till the very end because this car turns out better than I originally thought, and it will prove that even an old banger can look brilliant in today's world. So what I'm doing now is basically removing the road tar, so we're spraying this chemical and it's dwelled for a few minutes, and now I'm just wiping it away. It eats away at it, it just dissolves it in seconds. And it's not really that expensive either. Next thing on the to-do list is to give it a quick polish. So not going to be breaking out the machine polisher because I simply don't have enough time. It's getting dark already. So we're just going to give it a hand polish, and then I'm going to put a final wax on top, and this car's going to look perfect. But I will say this, although I'm not machine polishing it, everything I'm doing here should be pretty much good for anybody at home. If you're doing your own car, if you follow some of these simple steps, you can have your car looking as good as this. The polish of choice is AutoGlym Super Resin Polish, which is a good all-rounder, and it's one for those of you who just want to freshen up your paintwork, but be warned, it doesn't last forever, so it's not a permanent fix. Look at this, it's nice, isn't it? I miss doing it like this, the good old-fashioned way. Just using your old hand, nothing else, just enjoying the peace and quiet in the British countryside. You just don't get anything better. It's absolute perfection. Apart from that scratch over there, but I've moved the camera so you can't see that bit, but we'll say we polished it anyway. Once I finished off polishing that nasty scuff, I made my way around the rest of the car and finished it off with some Yum ceramic instead of wax, because it did it in a fraction of the time and the paint looked incredible. The bodywork looked good to go, and the last job remaining was just to dress the tyres, and this has been one heck of a tough one, and the reality is if I wasn't filming I could have easily done it in one day, but I owe it to you guys who subscribe and watch these videos to make something as good as possible. There's a fly on my ear, get off. And before we get to the final results, I just want to dedicate this video to a fellow subscriber who reached out to me and we got chatting, and he told me about his brave son who tragically lost his life to cancer. So this video is dedicated to his son, David. And now for the final results.